If a stranger today said, "I've discovered new truths about the human body. I've designed machines that could change transportation forever. I've figured out how flight works. And by the way, I'm also one of the greatest artists alive," you wouldn't think this person is a once-in-a-century mind. You'd think, this is exactly how misinformation sounds. And that's the uncomfortable reason Leonardo da Vinci, one of the smartest humans to ever exist, would struggle to be believed if he lived in our world right now. Leonardo da Vinci is remembered today as a genius because history has already done the hard work for us. Time filtered out the noise, removed the doubt, and stamped his ideas with approval. But if you strip that away and place him in the present, he wouldn't arrive with a halo. He would arrive as a problem. He would be a man who doesn't stay in one field, doesn't respect artificial boundaries, doesn't wait for permission, and doesn't present his ideas in neat, easy-to-share packages. And in the age of misinformation, that combination is almost guaranteed to trigger distrust rather than awe. We like to believe we live in the most advanced, open-minded era in history. But modern trust is fragile and conditional. It doesn't come from depth or curiosity. It comes from labels, degrees, institutions, verified sources. Leonardo had none of that. He was largely self-taught. He learned by watching, sketching, dissecting, and asking questions that made people uncomfortable. Today, self-taught doesn't sound romantic. It sounds suspicious. It sounds like someone who skipped the system, and skipping the system is exactly what misinformation does. Before Leonardo even finished his first explanation, many people would already be looking for reasons not to listen. Leonardo also didn't specialize, and that alone would work against him. Modern culture says, stay in your lane. Artists make art. Engineers build machines, doctors study bodies. When someone claims authority across multiple domains, alarms go off. We associate broad knowledge with shallow understanding, even when that isn't true. Leonardo believed the opposite. He believed that you couldn't understand anatomy without art, or mechanics without nature, or invention without observation. To him, separating knowledge was the real mistake, but today that belief would be framed as overreach. People would say he's talking about things he's not qualified to talk about, even if his observations were correct. Take anatomy. Leonardo dissected human bodies in secret, breaking social and religious rules to understand how muscles moved and organs functioned. His drawings were shockingly accurate, far ahead of medical knowledge at the time. In the modern world, this wouldn't automatically earn praise. It would raise questions. Was he authorized? Was this approved by an ethics board? Where was the oversight? The focus wouldn't be on what he discovered, but on whether he followed the right process. And once the conversation shifts from truth to procedure, trust becomes almost impossible to regain. Leonardo was also slow, careful, and deeply unsure of himself in a way that doesn't play well today. He questioned his own conclusions constantly. He revised ideas over and over. He left projects unfinished because he believed understanding mattered more than completion. In today's media environment, that behavior looks bad. People want clear answers and strong confidence. Uncertainty is seen as weakness. Changing your mind is framed as inconsistency. Leonardo's humility would be mistaken for doubt. And doubt is deadly in an attention economy that rewards certainty over accuracy. Then there's the problem of being early. Leonardo wasn't just ahead of his time. He was so far ahead that most of his ideas couldn't be tested while he was alive. He understood principles of flight centuries before airplanes existed. He designed machines that relied on materials and tools that hadn't been invented yet. Today, being early doesn't earn respect. It earns dismissal. If you can't show results right now, your ideas are labeled speculative. If they challenge existing knowledge without immediate proof, they're treated as misinformation. Leonardo wouldn't be evaluated based on the logic of his ideas, but on whether they fit within the limits of current technology. And when they didn't, he'd be told he was imagining things. The modern information system is brutal to people like him. Algorithms reward speed, simplicity, and emotional punch. Leonardo's work required patience and focus. His notebooks were dense, filled with sketches, diagrams, and long observations. That kind of content doesn't go viral. It doesn't fit into short clips or catchy headlines. It gets buried. Meanwhile, simplified versions of his ideas, stripped of context and accuracy, would spread faster than anything he ever said himself. And once misinformation attaches itself to a name, the original voice struggles to be heard. Worse, his work would be misused. Quotes taken out of context, drawings reposted with false explanations, claims attributed to him that he never made. People would argue about what Leonardo really believed without ever engaging with his actual work. He would watch his own ideas become symbols in debates he never intended to be part of. And in a world where attention matters more than truth, correcting the record would feel like shouting into a storm. Leonardo also didn't believe in appealing to authority, and that's another strike against him. He trusted observation over tradition. He didn't accept ideas just because they were old or widely believed. That mindset built modern science, but today, it's a dangerous position to hold publicly. Questioning consensus, even thoughtfully, risks being grouped with those who reject reality entirely. In an era flooded with bad information, skepticism has become defensive and rigid. It doesn't always distinguish between careful questioning and reckless denial. Leonardo would be caught in that confusion. We praise Leonardo now because he represents curiosity, creativity, and independent thinking. But if he showed up today with those same traits, many people would demand he simplify his ideas, prove himself faster, pick one field, and stop asking uncomfortable questions. In other words, we would ask him to stop being Leonardo. The age of misinformation hasn't just made lies more common, it has narrowed the space where complex truth can exist. Anything that doesn't fit cleanly into our systems of trust is treated with suspicion, no matter how valuable it might be. So, the uncomfortable reality is this: Leonardo da Vinci wouldn't fail today because he lacked intelligence or insight. He would fail because modern culture struggles to recognize truth when it doesn't arrive in a familiar shape. We like geniuses in hindsight, when their ideas are safe and proven and no longer challenge us. But living geniuses are disruptive. They don't speak in headlines. They don't wait for approval. And in a world overwhelmed by noise, that kind of mind is easy to misunderstand, easy to doubt, and easy to ignore. The real shock isn't that Leonardo wouldn't be trusted. The real shock is how normal that rejection would feel, and how confident we'd be while doing it. And once you accept that, you're forced to confront a darker thought. How many people today are quietly dismissed, not because they're wrong, but because they don't fit the narrow shape we've decided truth is allowed to have? For more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on. Thanks for watching.